Hey everybody! Listen, the Nintendo DS has a lot of JRPGs. I've already mentioned that in previous videos. But the thing is that Nintendo usually tends to make a lot of shovelware. I don't know why. And the Nintendo DS was no exception. So in the world of the JRPG genre, also was no exception. But these 10 games are, none of them are bad, actually, none of them are shovelware, but that's gonna be up to you, of course, as usual. So, welcome to my video of the most unknown JRPGs for this console, and like I said before, you be the judge if they're good or bad. Contact. Contact is a really weird game that has been constantly compared to Earthbound, even though both games are very different. This is an action RPG with real-time events going on at the same time, as you can see right now in the video. First, there's the professor who needs help, Terry, the main character who's helping him, and you. This game breaks the fourth wall while the professor talks to you in order to command Terry. The combat takes a very uncommon real-time strategy addition, letting you gain experience during battle. This means your status increases as you deal and receive damage. So it's a very unique game compared to Earthbound due to the isometric views, the art and the weird story, but that comparison went on another level. This game was overshadowed precisely because it was released at the same time as Mother 3. Is it good? Is it bad? You be the judge. Next we have Sola 2 Robo. What a horrible name. Another weird game with furry characters all over the steampunk world. It's an action RPG as well that includes many different types of gameplay. What, did you think Nier Automata was the first game to mix all sorts of things into an RPG? Well, this game did it first, and probably others did it before. Anyways, the point is that Sola 2 Robo is awesome. There are only two reasons I believe this game is unknown, and that is so weird considering it was pretty famous when it came out. It even won several awards. One, obviously because of its weird title. There's no way most people will be attracted to a game whose title they can't even pronounce. Second, the difficulty. Let's say it's a pretty easy game, straightforward and repetitive. But I'll tell you to forget about that and give this game a chance. It's totally worth it. Number 8 goes to From the Abyss. This is another action RPG. Yeah, there are tons of them on the list, sorry. With dungeon crawling elements and no party members. Now, I know there's tons of criticism to this game. People claiming it's very boring, simple, repetitive and whatever. And I don't actually disagree on that, but I just don't think it's a bad game at all. It's far from being a good RPG, that's true, but I think if you're looking for a nice adventure, maybe a change of pace from other deep and solid games, this one might be a good idea for you. As to why this game is unknown, well, it may be because it sold poorly and critics destroyed it with very negative reviews. As usual though, I recommend you play it to get an opinion of your own. On to number 7 we have Heroes Saga Leviathan Tactics. This is a game I recommended on my Hidden Gems video for the Nintendo DS. I regret not putting Sola 2 Robo on that video, but I'm glad I put this one. It's a strategy RPG with a very unique gameplay and a really well developed story taking place in Spain, filled with some of their slangs. The battle system here is what stands out. Character leaders are in charge of a small platoon shown during battle, and whenever their turn comes up, you technically attack with all of them. However, in most cases these battles can take too long and the game every now and then, and they can become quite tedious. But I don't think that's reason enough to ditch it. The game, however, vanished into the unknown for one particular reason: lack of good marketing. Next is Away Shuffle Dungeon. You're not going to believe who made this game. Remember the company Hironobu Sakaguchi founded when he left Square Enix? That was Mist Walker, and he even wrote the script for this action RPG. It takes its toll on shuffling or shifting dungeons, something that occurs in one of the two screens of the Nintendo DS, to reveal another area. If you don't do all that's required before this happens, you lose your health. So it's a trial and error kind of game. The story revolves around a curse that each year takes one villager away, hence the name of the game, and the character must complete these dungeons to stop the curse. I believe this RPG, even though it was made by such a famous person, is unknown because it was released almost at the same time as the Blue Dragon titles, also for the Nintendo DS. How ironic that their own games overshadow others, but trust me, it happens. I have published books that have overshadowed some others that I've also written. It may not actually be the real reason why it's unknown, but that's my theory. Number 5. Deep Labyrinth. Excellent story, excellent music made by Yasunori Mitsuda, and a very, truly uninspiring gameplay. I am not a fan of the first-person games of any kind, and I admit that might not be the reason why the gameplay of this very unknown action RPG is bad, but when it comes to mixing great stuff with lame stuff, games like Deep Labyrinth happen. If you know this game, maybe you will disagree with me, of course, and that's okay, to each their own, but I just can't recommend playing this RPG because the gameplay, along with its battle system, it's so boring, so bland, so unappealing, that you may end up playing it just because of its really interesting story and its awesome soundtrack. My World, My Way. Oh man. Look, I don't really believe in these games for girls crap. I think video games are for everybody. But when it comes to one such as this, it feels kind of contradictory to say that, wouldn't you agree? Regardless of what we think, My World, My Way is a turn-based RPG with a classic style and a gameplay somewhat original but confusing at the same time. However, what troubles me the most is the story. You're a princess whose entire quest during this game is to impress a young adventurer to make him fall in love with her because she wants him to be her boyfriend. Well, I thought it was a nice game, but it can get really repetitive, and considering the story is not to be taken seriously, you might want to pass on this one. Whether you're a guy or a girl, it doesn't really matter. Why this game is very unknown? Well, I think it's pretty obvious. Taos Adventure, Curse of the Demon Seal. Here we got sort of like an action strategy RPG from Konami, and it is the sequel to a hidden PS1 gem called Azure Dreams. Why did they decide to release this game for the Nintendo DS instead of the PSP? I have no idea. The point is that Taos Adventure is one of the most oblivious, forgettable RPGs that I have ever played in my life. It's not a bad game at all, but it just leaves a lot to be desired. The story is about a boy who travels into the monster tower because they have turned everyone from his village into stone. Then he is joined by a guide who is an elite monster, and the game takes you into a classic dungeon crawling video game with a battle system that looks really interesting, but it's not. Here, it turns into a turn-based RPG in which every action uses one turn, even walking. You can also use the stylus to cast spells by drawing runes. I recommend trying this game for yourself, just don't get your hopes up. Number 2 goes to A Witch's Tale. From Nipponichi Software, the guys who made this Gaia, comes a very fun turn-based dungeon crawling RPG called A Witch's Tale. However, it was developed by a company called Hitmaker, who made 2 terrible games for the PSP called Blade Dancer and Dragoneer's Aria. Regardless, it feels like a game made by Nipponichi. You gotta love the art here. If you're accustomed to the silliness of the Disgaea series or practically every other game from that company, you're gonna love this one. It's nothing special, but it has a lot of charm and charisma, and even though you get quite a lot of random encounters every once in a while, the weirdness and gothic comedy it includes is totally worth it. You are a witch in training accompanied by a bat, who is actually a vampire. Together they travel to seek the strongest of magics. The reason this game is very unknown is probably because the battle system is extremely slow and unappealing, making players turn the game off just because of it. But in any case, I still recommend it. Number 1, Master of the Monster Lair. At last we arrive at the most unknown of all, in my opinion, obviously due to the name. A name they changed for the North American release since it's actually called Dungeon Maker everywhere else. My guess is that they changed it because there is actually another RPG with the same name for the PSP. In any case, this game is very, very unknown. So unknown that it's not even in Wikipedia. You play as a young boy who one day proposes to the mayor to build a dungeon in a nearby cave to attract monsters. That way the town will have a big touristic attraction. Does that make sense to you? Well, obviously this task falls on the protagonist. So there you go, having fun, creating the dungeon, and all that jazz. And fighting enemies in a turn-based battle system that's nowhere being original or special. In conclusion, this game is something that you're gonna play only for the dungeon making value, because everything else is just plain mediocre. Okay guys, that's it. We've reached the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it, of course, as usual. And I think there's enough material to make a second part of this. Maybe a second Hidden Gems video for the Nintendo DS, or a second Most Unknown video, because there's just way too many JRPGs for this console and tons of them are really unknown. I could have made an honorable mention section, but I didn't because I might do a part 2 of this video. Okay? Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends as usual. Thank you for watching and see you next time!